Before he became a whisper in Lagos, before he had brands and burner names, there was only one person who knew what Taj Lawal could become. His mother, Mama Lawal, slim, sharp-eyed, never rushed. She ran a small tailoring shop on a dusty corner in Ajegunle, and she believed two things without fail: that discipline was protection, and that every man answers to something greater than himself. She didn't raise a talker. She raised a boy who watched her fingers stitch patterns in silence, who listened to the old women gossip over fabric, who swept the front steps before sunrise while the city still blinked itself awake. Every Friday, she lit a candle at her small shrine, whispered to Esu, offered water to Orunmila. She didn't force it on him, but Taj noticed, always noticed. He was 12 when he started drawing patterns in a math book. Not numbers, shapes, lines, ratios. Later, they'd match perfectly with encryption structures. But back then, he just liked how clean they looked. He never told her what he was really doing with the neighbor's laptop, how he'd figured out how to mask IP addresses using free VPNs stacked like nesting dolls, how he created his first fake email account using the name of a Canadian volunteer, or how he'd found a donation form template and rerouted it to a newly opened bank account with a borrowed BVN. He just handed her N3000 one evening, said it was for cloth, said he got it helping someone with school applications. She smiled and said, "Do good with what you know, or it will become your punishment." The money started coming slowly, then steadily. N10,000, N30,000, then M100,000 in 1 week. He didn't spend it on phones or sneakers. He replaced her broken sewing machine, paid off her tab at the market. Each gift came without explanation. Each improvement, silent. It was like the house was fixing itself. She began to worry, not because he was failing, but because everything about him was too calm. He didn't speak about girls, didn't get into fights, didn't join neighborhood drama. He spent his time reading, mostly on a donated Kindle with a cracked screen and a battery held in place with tape. By then, he was devouring books on financial systems, psychological manipulation, global history, Yoruba mysticism, and machine behavior. He read until his eyes watered and his fingers turned pages like clockwork. Sometimes she would pass by his room at night and hear music playing, soft, low, instrumental, and sometimes just silence. She never asked what he was building, but she prayed he'd be safe from whatever world he was walking into. Taj knew the rules of the house: no cursing, no wasting, no lies. But he also knew another rule, the unspoken one. To survive the streets, you had to carry more than your name. You had to carry order. Even in chaos, especially in chaos, there had to be a code. He started to build his own. He wrote it in the margins of his books. He sketched it into the lining of his school uniform. Lines of thought, definitions, beliefs. Control is the only armor. Clean is the only story. Power begins when no one suspects you have it. Mama Lawal watched her son grow into a man without ever seeing him raise his voice. And when the new refrigerator arrived one day without a sender's name, she knew. Not what he'd done, but that he had already crossed a threshold he couldn't walk back from. She lit her candles, laid 3 kola nuts on the floor, and whispered for the gods to follow her son, not to protect him, but to witness him. Because if the world would one day hunt him, they would need to understand what kind of boy he had once been. He never told her goodbye when he left. Just a folded note, placed gently in the sleeve of her best wrapper. It read, "I'm not running. I'm just becoming what I must. Keep the light on."